What up, everybody? We're coming back at you again with another epic episode of Summer Lunch Break. Today's guest is known for being one of the most progressive, humble, and appreciative riders in the sport, as well as for his insane style both on and off the water. He's been dropping jaws since the very beginning. It's Crosse Bearden. For today's episode, we catch up with Crosse in between work and school to hear his story of creating a name for himself within the wake world. Crosse also shares with us all things Space Mob Crew, the magical place that is Valdosta Wake Compound, and what it was like being totally blindsided by the creation of his first ever pro model board. If you know Crosse, you definitely know he does not leave the house without his trusty red bucket hat. But do you know why it's so special? The only way to find out is to hear it from the man himself. Let's bring him out. It's Crosse Bearden.
You know what I'm really scared about is if the wakeboarders get too close to shore, they may use some people on the shore as bonking items.
Summer Lunch Break.
Sweet. Thanks for having me. I'm hyped to be here.
We are so stoked that we got together and we're here to talk to you. We're going to get started with the most important question of the day, and that's what you either had for lunch or what you're having for lunch.
I just had a 6 session at VWC for lunch in between some classes at my university, and actually I'm heading back to school, so I'll just do the rest of the interview when I get there. But yeah, sick.
Nice. Very exciting.
For lunch.
I love that. All right, we're going to start and just kind of get to know you a little bit so that myself and anyone who's watching knows you better. So Sweet. First of all, where are you from?
Eastman, Georgia. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm from
sorry.
Eastman. No, you're good. But I'm from a really small town in central Georgia. It's called Eastman, Georgia. But it's actually got a lot of wake history there. So my dad had built a backyard rail park probably in 2004. And so I kind of always grew up around wakeboarding. And it's actually not the worst place to be, even though it's a small town. It's a lot of stuff going on in the wake world.
Nice. How old were you when you first started wakeboarding?
So my first time ever wakeboarding, I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I wakeboarded again after that summer until I was like 8. It was just something I did one summer, and I was like that young. I was a little intimidated and scared. So I did it, and then I didn't really want to do it again. And so I just would do it like every other summer or so until I got about 10 or 11. And I had a friend that would always go and ride with me named Cody.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of really when I got started around 11. But yeah, first time ever, I didn't know what I was doing. I actually rode my first time when I was 4 left foot forward. And
nice.
I'm actually goofy. I'm goofy though. So I just had no idea what I was doing.
Awesome. Well, it seems like it was a good enough experience to where you wanted to get back into it later. What was it like kind of jumping back in when you were a little bit older? Was it, the intimidation factor was gone, or were you ready to face that?
Pretty much the intimidation factor was gone. It was just more like fun and less scary. I guess doing it with a friend, you have someone to push you versus just being young and trying to do it by yourself and just a little intimidated. So yeah, when I got about 11, that's really when I started like progressing, I'd say.
Nice. Awesome. And what was like the first trick that you landed that you were like, oh yeah, this is it?
Backside 180s. They were the sickest. I love doing backside 180s. My dad, whenever I first started, he'd pull me and my friend behind the jet ski. And so he'd let us ride for as long as we want and stuff, but he'd always make me pay my taxes, is what he called it. So for the beginning, the first few summers, he'd always make me do a few laps switch around the lake, which I think was pretty good for me just to, get more comfortable riding switch, trying ollies and eventually getting like 180s and stuff switch until it didn't feel so weird anymore.
Very nice, very nice. So were you primarily towed behind a jet ski, or did you ever ride behind a boat?
So I kind of rode behind a boat for a little bit. Right when between the jet ski stage and the cable stage, I rode a little bit of boat, did a few flips and some spins wake to wake, but never really got that hooked. It's always a fun thing for me to do, but where I grew up in Eastman, we didn't have a proper lake to wakeboard on behind the boat. Everything was kind of just smaller ponds, so it was more just jet ski riding until we got the 2.0, and the 2.0 really changed the game.
Yeah, so kind of, you're a cable rider, so I'd like to know, like, why is cable superior to riding boat?
In my opinion, it's just so accessible for everybody. You don't have to have a super expensive boat. You don't have to put in the gas and get out to the lake. It's just, you get an hour free time in between classes and you can go out and take a few laps. I think that's pretty sick.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So what cable park did you start riding at when you first started riding cable?
So when I first started riding cable, it was in 2011. My dad sold the jet skis that we had. We had 2 jet skis, and we were looking at buying a boat, and it just didn't make sense. So he actually purchased a 2.0, and it was in my backyard in the rail park that he had built the jet skis. So it was actually the best thing ever growing up.
That is
and
so
I believe
rad.
It is so rad. I believe it was actually the first cable in Georgia as well.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
cool.
a little bit of history there, and the cable's still standing. Whenever I go home, I can go ride and stuff. It's pretty sweet. Like, it's the best gig ever.
Dude, that's rad. That's way cooler than like the jungle gym that my neighbor had in their backyard when I was growing up. Oh my gosh, so cool. Well, you talk about how wakeboarding is super accessible for everybody. You don't have to have a boat like cable riding. So, and wakeboarding's taking you a lot of places. What's the best place that it's taken you?
It's hard for me to say, but it's between 2 places. So
Okay,
I went to
let's hear 'em.
Brazil. Brazil was probably the sickest place, just because the vibe there was so sick, and it was a little bit cheaper to live there, and all the people were just so sick at the cable park. I don't know. I love Brazil. It was a cool vibe. But
Rad.
this past summer, I went to Germany and actually got to stay for like a month and a half. So I
Cool.
guess that was probably the sickest trip, just because I basically got to like get used to living in another place, kind of. I
Yeah.
was only in Brazil for 10 days, so it was a really quick trip.
Mhm.
But yeah, Germany is the sickest, just because they have so many cables, so many riders. Everybody's so stoked to ride there. It was pretty magical.
Rad. That's awesome. Well, okay. We know the best places. Is there a worst place that it's taken you?
I don't know. I've never really had a bad travel experience. They're always pretty sick for me.
Good.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe sometimes I've gotten pretty bummed out, just like if you go to a cable and it's super choppy, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, nah, I pretty much enjoy everywhere.
Good. Well, I like the positivity. How about, okay, instead of the worst, what's the weirdest experience you've had on a trip for wakeboarding?
The weirdest experience I had. Maybe I got a pretty gnarly concussion one time. That was really weird.
Uh-oh, what
Because
happened?
I was it was during 2014 free for all at Terminus, and it was just so packed and crowded there that day, and I ate shit in the pool gap and totally hit my head. Then I woke up, came to, realized I was laying down on the stairs, and so I just unstrapped, kind of threw my stuff in the water, swam to the shore, and I was really nauseous. So I kind of started to puke, and the rest of the day was just kind of a wash. So yeah, that was probably the weirdest experience.
Yeah, getting your brain rattled is no joke. Those things mess you up.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Dang. Well, I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're still here with us. So
Thank you,
all right.
thank you.
We're gonna shift gears a little bit, and we're gonna talk Space Mob, because we can't not talk Space Mob today.
Yeah, I see you
So-
repping the Space Mob sticker back there on the wall. That's
We
it.
got it right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to know, what does this group of riders and friends like mean to you?
It's like family for me. I mean, there's all the guys are so innovative, and they're just they're really creative when they ride, and it's always good vibes, good times, pushing each other, getting clips, filming, setting stuff up. It's really just a lifestyle. I feel like that's why everybody receives Space Mob so well and gets so hyped on it, just because they feel the vibe, they feel the good times, and it's creative riding, it's fun to watch. So I think it's sick. And I feel like Space Mob's influenced a lot of people's riding as well. So it's really sick to see that.
Totally. Yeah, you guys are awesome. You put out such cool content for everybody to see, and you're so right. You guys give off such a good vibe. So that's really rad. When did you kind of get in with that group and start riding with those guys and gals?
Let's see, honestly, I really got into it when I moved to Valdosta. So after I graduated high school, I lived in my hometown for 1 year and did like a community college type deal, which was sick. But I was super bummed that I couldn't always be down in Valdosta, because the guys were always up to something. They were filming, they were shooting with bear. I was always missing out on something. So I finally talked FOMO for sure. So I finally got to talk my parents into letting me move down here to Valdosta and go to school. And ever since then, it's just been the sickest.
Was that talk with your parents, was that hard? Were they hesitant, or were they like, oh, go?
It was really hard. I had to find a way to like make it seem like I just wanted to come, make it seem like I didn't just want to come to wakeboard. So I found out before I moved down here, I hadn't decided my major, and I decided my major basically off the fact that Valdosta has one of the better business schools in Georgia.
Nice.
So I told my parents, I was like, yo, I want to be a business major. Like, it makes so much sense for me to go there because they have the best business school. And they were like, you know what? You're right. So then my mom went to like a few of the little meetings and stuff, meet and greet things with Valdosta, and she ended up liking all the people. And she was like, okay, I think we can do it.
I love that. So, I feel like, you're totally not alone in having to like convince your parents, because it's like, okay, I want to go wakeboard, but school. And so that's cool to hear that they were supportive and you got to go do that. So you're studying business. Sure. Do you have a plan of what you're going to do with that?
Wakeboard.
I was going to say, if wakeboarding's the plan, that's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm doing business marketing. That's my field of study. So I feel like it goes pretty hand in hand with wakeboarding. So I don't know. I'm just going to kind of wing it and see where it takes me.
I love it.
See if I can get in a job somewhere. But as long as I can, I just want to wakeboard and travel. So that's the plan after school.
Hell yeah. Awesome. I want to touch one more thing on Space Mob before we move on. Who do you consider the glue that holds that group together? Who is that person?
I would say the glue that holds everything together is Quinn. But I would say that the ring leader is definitely Wes.
Okay.
Wes is like the mastermind behind everything. But without Quinn, I don't know if Space Mob would be able to happen, just because he does so much with the park. He has so many winch spots. So basically, we couldn't be what we are without Quinn, I'd say.
I love it.
He does so much for everybody. He kind of puts everybody first, and he really looks out for us and, make sure we're all included, make sure we all have spots to hit, and he'll take us to spots that he's never even shredded and just let us shred them before him. He's pretty selfless with everything. He's the sickest.
Yes, we love Quinn. He's awesome. He actually was the one that was pushing me. He was like, dude, you got to talk to Crosse. You got to talk to Crosse. I was like, okay, I'll make it happen.
Exactly. So that's point proven right there. He's always trying to put somebody on and help somebody out, so he's the sickest.
Totally.
But Wes, Wes is really motivated. He does a lot of the behind the scenes work. He's the one that's doing all the graphics, drawing all the cool stuff. And really organized and everything. But yeah, Quinn's the glue for sure.
Love that. Well, you've got some masterminds on your hands, so that's rad to hear. Okay, we're going to touch on shifting from Space Mob. We're going to touch on the Coalition, the movie, the trilogy. What was filming that like?
It was a blur, honestly. It took so long to film. It was, I think, 3 years in the making.
My
So
gosh.
we started out the first trip for the movie, me, Quinn, Darius Neville, and Jesse Jarrett. We took a trip to Ohio for like 2 weeks, and we just winched everywhere. And it was the sickest because we really got some cool spots. And then after that trip, since we didn't have Wes and Coty with us and some others, it was just the rest of it was trying to find the squad, trying to find the time, and then making it happen. So it was really not the most organized. Whenever we got the chance, we just go pile in the car and go wherever to the nearest winch spot. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, what was your favorite, like in your part of the film, what was your favorite hit that you did?
Definitely my favorite trick was in Ohio. There was a dam that we had pulled up to, and there was the perfect down rail that was a tree that was laying down the dam. And it was funny because whenever we started hitting it, we were talking to some of the people that were watching, and they were like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy that you guys are here doing this right now because this dam is so old and it was scheduled for demolition like 2 weeks prior to the day we were riding it. So like, it was honestly supposed to have already been destroyed, but something was held up with the city. And whenever Quinn found that spot on Google, he didn't see the tree. So it was just
there.
A miracle. Yeah, it worked out. It was perfect.
I love that. That's so rad. Yeah, that was a pretty rad part. I remember we watched it at the bar across the street. And when that shot came into view, everyone was like, oh my God, the tree. Like it was so like hype in there. It was awesome. That was really rad.
It was super sick. It was like the best spot of it. It was a little sketchy though, because the landing was probably 6 to 8 inches deep and super rocky. And yeah, it was a mission, but it worked out perfect. I was so hyped with it.
Good. I'm glad. Okay, we're gonna kind of shift to talk about Valdosta Wake Compound, PWC. Do you work there? Am I correct when I press that?
So partially in the summertime, down to help out if I'm out there, operating and stuff. But so with my school schedule and stuff, I don't really have the time to be scheduled out there like consistently. I also work at another spot in town here. It's a trampoline park. So it kind of gives me just a little flexibility to go jump, to go to school, to go to the wake park. But in the summer times, I definitely work out there most of the time, doing summer camps and stuff like that.
Very nice. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about riding at VWC. What's your favorite features? Just tell us kind of from your point of view. You're out there, you're riding. What are we seeing? What's the best? I just want to hear that.
So first thing, you pull in and there's dogs everywhere, which is sick.
That sounds like my dream.
It is so sick. All the dogs out there just make it so much fun, and they're the friendliest dogs, and it's just nice. It's like therapy, you go out there and just the dogs run up and you're like, hey, Penny, everybody. And then after you get there, it's so sick because there's a skate park right there by the cable, so you can warm up, get your legs moving, and then it's just beautiful. You're out right by the highway, so everybody's driving by, seeing the park. You're out in the middle of these beautiful fields with like live oaks, so they're like they're protected by the government, so they're super historical trees. They're like hundreds of years old. It's so sick. They create a lot of shade and stuff. And then the park, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. It's like the coolest rails for sure. You got not just plastic. You don't have just flat rails. You got pipes, you got metal, you got wood. Treks, everything. Anything you could grass, you can ride anything there. Also, some of the rails like the L rail, the bobber, the pull gap. It's all just next level rails and features. And I believe it was actually the first ever full-size cable with a land gap built into it.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, they have a bunch of firsts out there for sure, like, you
I
know,
love it.
innovation.
I love it. So the question comes to my mind then, and I think I know the answer. Is it the best cable park ever?
In my opinion, it is. It's just home.
I
But
love that.
I've definitely been to some others where I think I could live there as well. You know, some of the
Totally.
Germany parts are so sick. They
I
have
love it.
in Germany, they have all the nice restaurants and everything right at the cable. So it's a different
cool.
vibe. But as far as
Totally.
wakeboarding, yeah, Valdosta is the sickest.
It's the place. I like it. And what, in your opinion, what makes a cable park unique or stand out from others to you?
Just the fact that so many people live out there and work out there. I mean, you can pull up to the park at 8:30 and you can pretty much count that there's some homies hanging out by the fire. You know, I mean, there's never a dull moment out there. And
I love
we
it.
just added a disc golf course now, so it's so much fun. Like we'll ride all day. And then when the cable closes and during the sunset, you know, all the homies get together, grab a few beers, and just go walk around the lake and play disc golf. So
Very
that's been
nice.
super fun lately.
Very nice. I remember I talked to Wes a little bit about the disc golf stuff, and is he the best disc golfer ever? Or
Dude, he's insane. I don't
I
know.
thought you were gonna
Like,
say no there when you started shaking your head.
it's messed up how good he is. Like you wouldn't believe it. You play disc golf and it's so many variables. You got dry. I mean, you got to know. He knows all about the disc, so he can tell you, oh, that's an overstable disc or understable, and he knows all the shots, and he made the course really cool. So I think it's a good reflection of his style, and yeah, he's just the best. It's insane.
Okay, well, shout out Wes for being the ultimate
For
disc
real,
golfer.
best disc golfer ever.
I love it. All right, moving forward a little bit, we are going to talk about your pro model with slingshots.
Okay,
The Bearden 152.
that's
Let's
right.
hear about it. I kind of want to hear the story from beginning to where we are now. So if you want to tell us, that'd be great.
Yeah, so honestly, whenever it came to be, I had no idea about it. It was a complete surprise to me, which I think made it super special because I feel like traditionally in wakeboarding, you know, the riders know like a year or so before their board comes out. They have input on like the board and the graphic and stuff. But for me, it was just a complete surprise.
You were in the dark the whole time?
The whole time.
Oh my gosh.
All my homies like Wes and Quinn, they were keeping me in the dark, and they did such a good job about it because, I mean, there were a few slip ups. Like there was one time I was in Florida riding with the Zoo Pack, and I think they even knew about it too. And they had mentioned something about, yeah, I rode your board next year, or I rode your board at Sick, or I saw your board, and I was like confused. I was like, oh, they must be talking about the terrain, just because I'd always ridden the terrain and stuff. And for a few years, I did the product shoots and videos with the terrain, so I just assumed like, oh, sick, yeah, the terrain, sick.
Nice.
But it all happened one day. So Quinn's dog, back to the dogs, he has his dog Brock, which is now 14 or 15, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But we were celebrating his 13th birthday is what I thought. So we were gonna all have like a grill out at the park and stuff. And yeah, we were out there getting everything set up, and then all of a sudden, like, Quinn walks around the corner with this cake, and it says pro as well. The lady apparently wouldn't write fuck, so she wrote like pro as F, and then like the little asterisks out beside it. But
oh my gosh.
I was so confused. I looked at it, and then all of a sudden, I didn't know my dad was here. Like my dad came down from Eastman, which is like 2 hours away, and so it was a big surprise. It was like super special and stuff. And yeah, the reason that the board was similar to this old Stacy Peralta graphics, like the skull graphics on the Stacy Peralta boards, Power Peralta boards, they always said I looked like Stacy Peralta. And so I guess that's where Wes got the inspiration to draw that graphic. And I loved it, you know, for not having any say of the board and stuff. It was just so perfect, and I loved it. So it was honestly the sickest thing. It was the sickest day of my life.
That's so wild. I have never heard of someone having literally no idea that they have a pro model for.
It was so cool. Like, it's honestly special that they did that for me, you know?
That is way, way rad. It's back to the whole family thing and just the vibe you guys have. That is so cool. So, so cool. Do you guys normally throw big dog birthday parties?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, we definitely treat the dogs pretty much like humans, you know, they all have their own personality. But
Oh, I love it.
Brock is just, if you've been to the compound, you know Brock. He's just he's just the best dog ever. And no one expected Brock to be 13. You know, he's like a pit bull, and I don't know what the whole age thing is, but 13 was a pretty big age. So we were like, yo, let's throw Brock a party. And I guess I am kind of gullible or blonde or something. So I might, it didn't seem weird to me. I was like, yeah, let's celebrate Brock. Yeah, dude, let's bring out the cake and stuff. But now looking back on it, I probably should have seen it coming.
Picked up on it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So you rode the terrain for, however long, and then you get this pro model. What kind of what's the difference between the two, like in your board versus the terrain?
So right now, there's actually not that much difference. There's going to be in the future, though. So I'll give you a sneak peek that the Bearden is up for some changes in the future. So stay tuned for that. I've actually been riding the prototype recently. Actually, I rode it just right before this call. I had
nice.
And it was so much fun. Like, the new board is so sick. So stay tuned for 2023, guys. It's going to be crazy.
Very exciting. Very exciting. So it's safe to say you're involved in this evolution of the pro.
Yeah. So now I kind of have a little say so and what's going forward in the future. So super sick that they were down to work with me like that. And Slingshot, they taken really good care of me. So they're.
Oh, you cut out again.
Oh yeah. I was just saying that. Yeah, Slingshot, they're just the best. You know, Slingshot's always looked out for me. So.
Okay, we want to talk about the graphic on the board. You said Wes was heavily involved with that. Kind of, I guess if you weren't totally involved with the process, maybe we should just touch on like how he does the graphic for, the boards and stuff. What's that like? What's his setup look like? What's he doing? I'd love some insider info on that.
So whenever Wes is doing the graphics, you basically just don't see Wes for a month or two. He just hibernates in his camper. Yeah, you'll knock on his door and he's just sitting back in his recliner. He has his phone playing disc golf. He's watching disc golf tournaments and he's just sitting there on his iPad, just whittling away.
I love it.
And it's actually pretty sick. So this 2022 board, the Slingshot Bearden with the alien, me and him got to work on that graphic together, and it was the easiest thing ever. I literally told him one time. He asked me, he's like, yo, what, you got any ideas for your board for 2022? And I was like, I kind of would like to have an alien that looks like me. And that's all I had to say. He showed me the board and I was like, dude, don't change a thing. It's perfect. So he definitely has all the creativity and the touch for making it look perfect.
Totally. Well, it looks exactly, it is a mirror image of you.
It is pretty funny. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing the product video with it. Stefan Vollard had ordered an alien mask for me to wear. And whenever I put on the alien mask, the hat, we were twins. So it was sick.
We'll throw a picture of it in the video here, but do you even have a mirror like where you live? Do you even need one? You can just look at your board. You know exactly what you look like.
Pretty much. As long as I throw on my hat, it's good. I'm good to go.
Your hat. Yes. I have a question about that. I'm not ready to ask it yet, but I do have a question about your hat.
All right. That's good.
That's a great segue into this topic. We're going to talk about your style. You've got a very unique sense of style, and I absolutely love it. I think it's it sets you apart. It shows off, your creative tendencies. What inspires your style?
So I would say skateboarding inspires a lot of my style. I always have been in love with skateboarding, and I'm like, if Wes is watching disc golf, I'm watching skateboard videos. That's all. I watch so many skateboard videos. Any new video comes out, I'm watching it. And I don't know, it's just the cool freedom, finding cool spots. You know, there's nothing really there's no limits to skateboarding. You can just interpret it as whatever you want. So that's kind of how I like, you know, some of the skateboarders that aren't just hitting big stairs. You got the creative guys that are flipping their boards in weird ways or riding. I think that's where I get the influence for like doing some 1-footers like the Ollie Norths and
Totally.
even like the MJs. You know how the freestyle skateboarders will pop their boards up into primo and do all the weird things. It's just, there's no rules when you're riding. Just do whatever you feel like doing. And for me, it's just like self-expression and kind of therapeutic just to get out there and just not think. Like most of the times when I'm riding, I can't even tell you like what tricks I did the lap before. I'm just so dazed out. Nothing's going on. Sometimes I'll get hyped and start singing to myself. Like I'll just be singing and cruising and stuff. Like, I don't know.
I love it.
It's the best.
I love it. Well, you know, while we're on the topic of style, not only riding style, but also like your style, I want to talk about, I touched on this in my interview with Trevor Maurer about street clothes when you're riding, when you're wakeboarding, because some people are totally against it and some people are totally for it. And I would love to know kind of your opinion on wearing street clothes when you ride, whether you're hitting a winch spot, you're at the cable, you know, why are you pro street clothes?
So honestly, I mostly wear the street clothes just over my wetsuit, just because I don't know, I have like pretty scrawny legs and just the wetsuit just looks weird. So throw on some baggy sweatpants and you're like, it just looks more normal for me.
Okay,
Also, I think that a lot of the influence in skateboarding is the freedom to just wear whatever. And you know, you got all the skaters that have the super skinny jeans and like leather jackets, spiky hair, but you also have like the dudes that are wearing super baggy pants and triple extra large shirts and stuff. And that's kind of where I get my influence from. I just go to Goodwill and find some cheap pants and just go shred in them.
I love it. Goodwill's freaking gold mine. They have so much good stuff.
It's the best. It's the best.
So when I talked to Trevor, I want to get your opinion on this specific one. When I talked to Trevor, he said a lot of the times, if you're in street clothes when you're hitting a winch spot, the cops, if they do show up, don't bug you because you look like you blend in. Have you ever had an encounter with the police?
Yes, multiple. Actually, I've almost gone to jail for sure. I thought it was going to be so sick because I was going to get arrested in my Space My Booties. And I was like, dude, this will be so sick. But thankfully, we didn't get arrested.
Yes, true. Thankfully.
But yeah, it was definitely had a lot of encounters with cops, some cool cops, some crazy cops. But actually, I do think that clothes have saved me one time because I do remember walking the rope back out. A cop drove down the road and I just kind of dropped the board and handle and just like kept walking normally. And I don't think he got that suspicious. He just was like, oh, there's a dude walking over there by that stream. Like, but yeah, the clothes definitely, I guess, do make you a little more inconspicuous.
Totally. I like it.
That's a good point by Trevor, though. You know, he's definitely got a method for his madness. So that's pretty cool. For me, it's just like, I don't want to show my scrawny legs in the wetsuit. I'll put on some baggy pants.
I love that you're so honest about it too. That is so funny. Okay. This is my big question about your hat. I feel like it is a part of you because I have never seen you without that red hat on.
It's definitely a part of me, and it's kind of sick. Like, at first, I just liked the hat because it was really comfortable, and I always had a problem with my nose getting super sunburned. And I had like doctors telling me like, yo, you gotta do something because you're always out in the sun. And I'm never the kind of guy that thinks about putting on sunscreen. So I was like, it all worked out because the yard sale 3, it ended up being the yard sale that I won best overall at.
Yeah.
STZ was there, and he was like, "Hey, dude, I got you some shirts and a hat if you want it." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm down for some new clothes. It's been a minute. I don't have any fresh STZ gear." And he gave me the hat, and I just kind of wore it around the yard sale that weekend, and then just it became part of my everyday outfit. And now it's like so sick because at the trampoline park where I work at, everybody knows me. Even if they've just been in there one time, the kids are like, "Hey, what's up, dude? Like, I remember you."
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
at the cable park, it's super easy. If I go to a new place, like people look over and they're like, "Hey, there's Cross. He has, there's no question about, is that Cross?" Or it's just like, "Yo, for sure. I'm the dude with long hair and the red bucket hat."
Do you ever go anywhere without it, or do you always wear it?
Um, there are some days that I just throw up like a man bun or something, but it's pretty rarely. Like if I'm going out of town or pretty much anywhere, I'm gonna throw on the hat. But like there are some times whenever you go into like a banquet or have to do like a presentation or
Gotta
like a
be
job
fancy.
interview, yeah, I just gotta throw back the man bun and look professional. But I feel like it's definitely not intentionally, but definitely become like a part of my
Dude, yeah.
identity. It's weird. There's been a few times where I've lost the hat for a little bit and I was
Oh
like
no.
freaking out. I was like, "Dude, I need that hat."
Can't go on without it. What do you
No,
so
but
if
it's just kind of
you
like a special thing for me because it takes me back like the yard sale. That was like the sickest experience for me. Like
yeah.
it was my first ever real contest win and big deal for me. And like it's just a good reminder, I guess. It's just
I
good
love it.
vibe hat.
Good
And I'm
vibe
always
hat.
repping STZ too, so that's sick. Shout out
Yes,
those guys.
love it. Love it. I'll ask this. If you left on a road trip, and how far into the drive would you have to be to not turn around and go get it if you forgot
Hmm.
it?
That's a good question, but it's a trick question because I wouldn't forget it.
You
I
would
would
never
already
forget it.
have it on. Like I literally like wake up, eat breakfast, brush my teeth, and then it's like put the hat on. So I barely leave the house without it.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that is so
It is weird.
funny.
Like my mom always stays on me. She's like, "You got to keep that hat clean." Like every time I go back home, my mom's like making me wash the hat and stuff because she's like, "You wear that all the time. That thing's got to be gross."
It's your good luck charm. It brings
For
good
sure.
vibes. You gotta have it.
For sure. And it's honestly been sick because so many people are able to recognize me. It's kind of like it keeps me on my good behavior if I'm out in public, because I'm easily recognizable. Like if I go out to the bar and act stupid, it's like the next time I go, everybody's gonna remember.
Everybody
So I just
knows it
kind
was
of
you.
I gotta stay. I gotta keep my good reputation up when I'm wearing the hat. So
I love
if you
that.
ever
I love
see
it.
me acting crazy with it, you gotta say something like, "Hey, chill out, chill out."
Chill. Everyone knows
Yeah,
who you are.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a little looking to the future. What are you most looking forward to this coming season?
This coming season, I'm looking forward to releasing a video part that I've been filming over the
Nice.
winter, and I'm continuing filming. I think it's going to release probably in the first few weeks of the summer.
Very nice.
So it's going to be pretty hype. I'm just excited because it's a lot of winching and park riding, and just I'm trying to get creative with some setups and just do some weird things, typical
I love
space
it.
mod activity.
I love it. Well, stay tuned for that for sure. I look forward to seeing it. And then I want to kind of cap off this awesome interview with what are two of your goals for the next year for 2022, both personal and wake, one of each.
So personal goal is to finish school strong and graduate in May. That would be super sick if I could
Very nice.
get that done.
Yeah.
Also for wake, I would say that I've always wanted to shoot and try and get a cover shot. That's just like I feel like a goal of anybody that gets into an action sport is getting
Totally.
a cover shot like really defines you as it's like a time capsule almost. Like it's just a piece
Totally.
of history and it reminds you about a certain time or the certain trip or the certain spot you were hitting. So that would definitely be sick to get a cover shot. I'm not too sure if they still are doing mini print mags. So we'll see how that goes. But maybe one day that it'll all work out and there'll be a cover shot. That would be like a dream come true as like a child of mine. Like since I've been a child, I've always looked at the magazines and
Totally.
thought, you know, you get so much inspiration from cover shots, and some are really creative. And I think that we have the potential between like photographers and the setups and stuff that the Space Mob can come up with. Hopefully it'll work out one day.
Very nice. Well, I think it'll happen for you, and I know in time it will come. So we are looking forward to see what you do in the next year, that video coming out, and hopefully a cover shot. So thank you very much for sharing everything with us today. It was awesome to talk to you, to get to know you, and to just hear more about you.
Sick. Yeah, it was nice talking to you too. I had a great time, and thanks for thinking of me. It was pretty sick. This is actually the first, like, I don't know if you call it like a podcast or something like that, but this is my first time doing anything like this. So it's pretty sweet. I was a little nervous.
No, there's nothing to be nervous about. We're chill over here. It's wakeboarding, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's what Quinn and Wes were telling me. They're like, dude, just talk. It's not that big of a deal. But
yeah, it's chill vibes. So nothing to worry about there. Well, I'm stoked you did it. I'm stoked that, you know, this is going to come out soon and we can put it out there and get the hype started for 2022. Thank you so much again. And I guess we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's stay in touch. But thanks
Awesome.
for having me. And it was a sick chance. So Space
Okay.
Mob. Out.
Later, Crosse. Bye.
Later.